A lot of articles were written about it from, I mean, virtually every single major news article, major news publication wrote about it. Here's the New York Times. On Hassan Piker, popular left-wing streamer, says he was detained at airport. Mr. Piker said he was questioned for 2 hours on topics including the war in Gaza and President Trump. He has about 4.5 million followers combined on YouTube, Twitch, Tricia McLaughlin, a spokesman for the Department of Homeland Security, said in a statement on social media that Mr. Piker's claims that his political beliefs triggered the inspection are baseless. Upon entering the country, this individual was referred for further inspection, a routine lawful process that occurs daily and can apply for any traveler, she said. Once his inspection was complete, he was promptly released. Now, I found this to be a very funny response. And the reason why I think it's really funny is because, and I tweeted about this already, first and foremost, they admit to it happening, which is, you know, like they openly admit to it taking place, right? Saying that I'm lying for likes is very funny because they don't even deny that it took place. Okay. They simply deny that it was a political targeting. And I think it's important. I think it's important to take note of what the Department of Homeland Security is taking issue with here. Political beliefs being triggered for the inspection. I think that's important to take note of because it shows you what the admin is worried about. Okay. Because if they were not worried about anything, they would have just been like, yeah, he's a figure of notoriety that we pulled a red flag on, because they openly admit that the detention happened. They openly admit that the investigation took place, right? But they're worried about the backlash that they might receive given that this is perceived as a political targeting. The reason why this is insane is because you are asking an American citizen who is literally a part of global entry, right? That has already been, that is a known traveler to the Department of Homeland Security, an American citizen that was born on U.S. soil, questions about whether or not they have an allegiance to Donald Trump, the current president. None of this will bar you entry into the country. And I don't even think that was the purpose. I think that the purpose was to create a chilling effect. That's it. The H3 issue production subreddit has now posted about Hassan over 110 times in the last 24 hours alone. Even Hassan's own Reddit page doesn't talk about him this much. Hassan taken a question at O'Hare Airport by border agents. Homeland Security. They literally posted Homeland Security, nothing but lying for likes. Can you imagine being a supposedly progressive community and looking at the fascist Trump administration's Gestapo agents openly admitting that a detention happened, but then saying that it wasn't political targeting and agreeing with the Department of Homeland Security because of not even your own personal convictions about a Twitch streamer that you don't like, but because of your favorite content creators' opinions about a Twitch streamer he doesn't like. I mean, they're completely done. They are no longer a progressive community at all. We knew that already. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because every single dumb First Amendment defender, every single dumb free speech guy on the YouTuber orbit don't know what they're talking about. And please, if you're coming in here to be like, Hassan, I don't really like you, but I wanted to hear your perspective on this. I wanted to understand what was going on, but I don't really like you. And my favorite content creators don't like you at all. And I've heard a lot of stuff because I've seen a lot of clips of you online. I need you to please, you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to watch me, but please go and like read anything, just anything that's not a Twitter blue check mark reply. Okay. Please, because these guys are deluding. These guys are delusional and they are leading you down a wrong path. They are misinforming you. This is what is frustrating about this process. There are a lot of out of touch, delusional, uninformed, apolitical content creators out there, slop tubers in general, or people like Asmongold, or people like or people like Ethan Klein, like people that are just like angry for no discernible reason or angry for whatever their own personal vendetta is, and they just basically delude people into believing wrong things. They push people into believing incorrect things. You don't have to agree with my positions on this, but when I tell you something about First Amendment protected speech, I'm telling you the truth, okay?
Well, unless you live under a rock, you are probably aware of the reality that right now in the United States, things are getting more repressive. The state is becoming bolder. People are being taken off the street, not just undocumented people anymore, which was already bad enough, but people with green cards, et cetera, and so forth. And what's been happening more recently is even people who were born in the United States with a passport are coming into the U.S. from vacation or travel, and they are being stopped, sometimes randomly, sometimes not randomly, and being questioned about their political affiliations, political leanings, things of that nature. So yesterday, I got a text message from my friend, Hassan Piker, who, if you know who he is a very prominent left-wing voice. He's one of the largest streamers on Twitch and certainly the largest left-wing streamer. And he was stopped coming in from France. He was coming into Chicago, and they stopped him for a period of time and questioned him, and ultimately he was fine. But he texted me as he was basically being pulled aside to let me know that that was happening.
As a black chatter, you talking to cops was killing me, bro. Dude, oh my God. Okay, chatters. As I mentioned yesterday, and I guess I will have to repeat it over and over again. You shouldn't do this. The reason why I did this is because I have a shit ton of privilege. Okay, I wanted to investigate what this inquiry was going to look like. I am wealthy enough to be sheltered from additional scrutiny. I am a public figure. If this were to happen to you in a situation like this, as it's happened to many Americans so far that have come into the country, there wouldn't be 7,000 international articles written about it. The reason why I took advantage of the privilege that I have, being a public person, and also on top of that, having enough money to potentially overcome any sort of serious scrutiny from the government, and access to groups like the ACLU and numerous other First Amendment defending like civil rights organizations with lawyers, used this as an opportunity to try to figure out exactly what was going on with this inquiry process. Okay? And I stressed this over and over again yesterday, which is to not let you do this. I told you, you shouldn't do this. This is it. I have immense privilege, which is why I had the opportunity, in my mind, I made this calculation to actually entertain this back and forth to see what was going on in their line of inquiry, instead of immediately trying to lawyer up in this otherwise the secondary hold or detention that they engaged in.
Because I am his lawyer friend, and we did have a conversation after this about maybe in the future some things that will be done differently. But this should worry all of us a lot, because Hassan Piker is a very prominent left-wing voice. He is well known. He has a large following on the internet, and he is a rich person. So he's a person with reach and influence, and even though he was only briefly stopped for a period of time when he was coming back in the United States, the fact was they flagged him. They were specifically...
No, Lolo didn't scold me. He did not. I explained to him exactly why I did what I did as well in that conversation. Like, I literally told him, just as I told you, what the purpose of it was.
Looking for him and asking him specific questions about his activities as a political actor in the United States. They're asking him about political opinions.
You could have a fascist government unironically apprehend and detain political dissidents, and chatters in the chat will still be like, well, you know, you should have conducted yourself better. Like, shut up. I know what I'm doing. What are you saying right now? I knew that I was taking a calculated risk to talk in that situation. I know that. God damn. How you get detained and people are trying to cancel you for it? This is why I say nobody grifts to the left. Because the left broadly are incredibly annoying people, constantly want to talk about how radical they are, or constantly showcase how they would do things differently in that situation. There's never any charity to other leftist figures in general. And there is so much ideological diversity that that people they operate on this like almost puritanical basis with their representation of their own ideology. And that's it. It's really annoying. Leftists are unbearable and incredibly annoying, and personally despise solidarity. And it's something that I actively try to work against, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's continue.
He said in the past, his Twitch ban, some things that were frankly ridiculous, and other things that maybe weren't ridiculous but are scary for an administration to be looking for in terms of what your political beliefs are. Your political beliefs shouldn't matter in terms of you being a United States citizen and you making transit in and out of the United States. Coming from France, mind you, like not coming from somewhere where things are unstable on the ground, or there are actors that the United States considers to be dangerous, just like coming from a trip to France.
How can you trust things that happen to you? Are an anecdotal experience unreliable? Yes.
So, yeah, I've said this before. You need to be aware, like, this is the reality right now. The Trump administration is floating the idea and talking, like Stephen Miller is talking about, they want to suspend habeas corpus. Habeas is the ability to challenge a wrongful arrest, so basically the police can't arbitrarily arrest you and not tell you why you're being held or hold you indefinitely. It's a critical function of due process, which is what every American is guaranteed, but also everybody who is on American soil by the Constitution.
You're more useful to the movement free and doing this work than in a cell somewhere, bro. We don't have to give them a sacrificial lamb to know it's fascism. I also disagree with you on this. Then why don't I just leave the United States of America and escape and keep streaming from a different country? This is something that a lot of people are suggesting in a very parasocial way as well. And it's like, no, there are going to be moments where I am presented with a threatening situation, and I think that it is appropriate for me to at least have some fucking skin in the game. It's all right, especially because I do have a lot of privilege. I will continue to travel internationally, and I will continue to talk about these things, and I'll continue to report on things that happen to me as well. As I've said over and over again, I am not a journalist. I'm a political commentator. I'm not an activist. I'm a political commentator. I'm an entertainer. But there are unique moments in my career where I do engage in some journalism, where I make some news, right? And my personal experience in that regard played a role here.
That's established law, and that has been established law. We know that this administration doesn't care about any of that stuff and doesn't care about what the law is in actuality. All of us collectively need to be smart about how we are articulating certain things online, not to be silent, to be perfectly clear before the do not comply in advance heroes in the comments go absolutely insane. And really, wow, you are such heroes down there. I'm saying let's maybe try not to get black bagged and thrown in federal prison, because actually you're not helpful to anybody if you're there. Okay. Important to remember that posting is not activism, right? So you have to be smart about what you're doing, how you're doing it, and you have to protect yourself and your communities. You also need to put pressure on your elected officials to actually stand up about these things. Are most electeds not really doing much about it? These are really bad, but I also think Trump's approval rating is incredibly low, and there are a lot of judges that are pushing back in terms of any of the enforcement things that this administration is trying to do, and we collectively need to pay attention and show up when the law is broken, when people are detained, etc. We need to keep each other and our communities safe, because we're the only ones who are going to do it.